Hello and welcome, Tartarian hunters, to another episode down the rabbit hole of his story. And today we have another special guest. We have Medyhne with us. And I actually saw Medyhne. I've just found her on YouTube, and she was having a discussion with Indigo Angel about Australia and energies and crystals and all this kind of stuff. And as you know, we've been hunting crystal cities in Australia, so we thought that we would get her on for a chat. So hello and welcome, Medyhne.
Hi, it's really wonderful to be with you both. And, looking at all the work that you've done and the, volumes of information that you've gathered, you guys have done an incredible job. And, to bring the awareness of things that people aren't aware of and to expand people's consciousness, the role you're playing is really, really important. So it's really great to be here. And I'm really pleased that you've asked me. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been like this Tartarian unfolding. It's been so transformational. We always say that because it's the ultimate program buster. Like we've almost like gone, Cambell's so good at getting into the details and putting out his clips and the details, but I've just gone like, woo, it's busted the program. We're past all the shit. We've like dealt with all the lies. Like there's a void opening up in our brains right now. Yes. Where all that information was once, computing and wiring and firing, and now it's just gone and it's just absent. And it's like this huge space is opening up around an inner space, the only real space. The inner space is opening up all around us, and I'm fully expecting now miracles to happen and fantastic things to unfold and things to come into our perception that we would never have seen before. Now all these lies and programming has been removed from our eyes.
Absolutely. I think our gifts are really being accelerated at the moment too. So, when you visualize what you want to create, it comes through the timeline much quicker at the moment. And so, all our telepathy and our intuition and all these amazing dormant gifts that perhaps we haven't really fully accessed are really coming to the fore now. And I'm noticing it as well with things happening around me. And it's pretty amazing. So you do have to be mindful of your thoughts because if you spend too much time focusing on the slipstream of the dark ones and their agenda, that's a real waste of energy at the minute. Yeah. But it's good to be informed and be aware, but at the same time, you need to have that balance.
It is a dance, isn't it? It's a fine dance. When I was talking about that last night, because we're really aware that this is all an illusion. Like we're really aware that we're paying witness. We're actors in a movie, and that it's already been won. We've already won this script. Like we're very aware of it. At the very same time, by the sheer like the consequence of being one of these actors in this movie is that we're in a state of reacting and acting. Literally, we have to act. And so when we come up against, say, yesterday's issue with the Indigenous in the Northern Territory, we want to react. We want to act out against it and take an impulsive action. And that's just as important in this 3D illusion, I guess, to reclaiming our sovereignty as it is to understanding that we are actually in an illusion and we should be in a state of non-action. So it's a really fine line.
Yes, yeah, it's discernment, isn't it? So when do we actually act and use our passion to shift the paradigm, and when do we sort of tap into our spiritual mastery of non-attachment and rise above and stay centered? So it depends on the situation and what you're going with. And yeah, like you say, it's a dance.
It is a cool dance. What are your thoughts on it, Cambell?
Yeah, we've just got to go inside, don't we? And find that gap in our thinking rather than reacting to things. We need to sort of take in the information and then think, rather than being in this reactionary sort of state.
That's so.
And then we can make decisions and do something that feels good. We can go, hey, does this feel right? Is this from my heart, or am I just being led.
Yes, because when you react, you're going into like an automatic, subconscious, unconscious sort of reactive system. And so you don't really have a lot of control over what you're going to do or say, because you haven't been able to process it. So it's really important often when people do something and you want to react, to step back and take that minute to mindfully, consciously determine the best way of reacting. And sometimes it is to step back and do nothing, rather than that immediate jerk response that's often the wrong one in that moment.
Well, one thing JCK always goes on about is if you're in a state of reacting or acting, then do it with solutions. You know, like we're in this time, like don't just react and have this big emotional wobble. Like actually like take a step that's sovereign enough that you're providing a solution here, big or small, that there's something you're adding to this movie, because we are all in a state of co-creation. Like that is our magic. So if we're going to be affected by the movie, and we're going to have those moments where we forget that we're actually in a movie, and you know that this has already been scripted, then like at least contribute to that scene a solution or something that provides you with you know, resolution or hope or joy or love, you know. And I'm not talking spiritual loftiness now. I'm not just saying love light will fix a day, but really like find something. I mean, I have a really strong love for nonsense. So I'm really big on, I would term myself the master of nonsense. I'm very big on bringing nonsense with, so of course Tartaria just like suited me down to the ground. I was like, fucking yeah, everything I thought was real is fake, and everything that was a fairy tale is real. This is my world. So have you looked at the Tartarian information much?
Yeah, I've had quite a look at quite a few of the videos. It's just so much of a volume there of information. But yeah, I love to be able to think beyond the square and to step out of, you know, what we've been taught, and to expand myself in that way. You know, there is such a thing now as basically just wiping the slate clean and then re-looking at absolutely everything in a completely different way, or otherwise just being open to seeing everything completely differently, and being not too much in ego that you're unable to recognize where you were perhaps duped by the whole system, and you know, not allow that to, you know, sort of be in humility with that, and be able to move forward in a more conscious way of you know, the truth of, and the truth of course is unfolding all the time, and it is quite a individual thing as well, depending on your perspective. But yeah, no, wonderful information that you've been offering people about all sorts of things. Where do you start?
Where do you start, Cambell? Where do we start again?
Always start at Starport.
Yeah, he always starts at the star forts. Do you know about the star forts?
Star forts. Well, not a lot. No, I wouldn't say I do. No,
Not a lot.
Not he. I mean,
and this is the thing. We're finding. You go.
Yeah, go ahead. No. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we're finding this stuff all over, you know, the realm now, that it's always been there. We just didn't know it was there. You know, hidden in plain sight, all this kind of stuff, right? And now we're wondering what it was and what it did, and it's clearly, you know, massive infrastructure telling us that, you know, society hasn't always been this way. It was much different. So it's very interesting.
Yes. I think, you know, things like Atlantis and Lemuria and places like that are really fascinating to tune into, and if we can't find the information on the physical, you know, because a lot of it's been lost and hidden, we can tune into it on the inner. I mean, I do meditations, for example, where I swim with dolphins, and I go into this beautiful pearlescent crystalline castle underneath the water, and there's the Hall of Records, and you can go in there and there's all the information of all time in there, and you can go into libraries that have all books that were ever written, and then there's beautiful healing rooms in there, that all the advanced technologies there, and you can go and do a healing. So these incredible I'm getting a lot of energy as I'm talking to you. So these incredible resources that we can tap into are the information within our in our field, and we do have all universal knowledge within us and consciousness within us. So it's just re-tapping into all that.
Yeah, because we are literally, as we've gone through the Tartarian information and really assimilated. So for most people, the journey starts either like looking at the spiritual world, like who are we, how do we get here, why are we here, how does it all work, and then looking at like the start to go down the rabbit holes and looking at the lies and the illusions and which we would call disclosure. So we have like a spiritual realm and a disclosure realm, and they've sort of like slowly been working, and sometimes they do this and then they come back together and they're into it. But if, like, I'd say most of our audiences now have been on this journey for most of their adult lives, so a good 20-30 years wiring and firing around these two topics, because really you can't enter one without the other. They're very engaged with each other, because in order to understand the spiritual question, you've got to understand like this realm that we live in, which takes you through disclosure. In order to understand this realm that we live in, you have to understand that it's all also within you. So when we get to Tartaria, which is like the peak body of work, in my opinion, it's the peak body of understanding, which is we have now reached the set of this illusion, like the Truman Show set. We're at the wall now of the movie. So instead of it being just all words and hearsay and other people's opinions and insiders and whatever, now we're actually like, go outside and touch these buildings, see for your own eyes the mud flood, see for your own eyes the giant doorways and windows, see the difference in the architecture of these gorgeous structures versus what we produce now, and then look at these obvious, like physical with your own eyes, taste, have a real 3D realm experience with it. And then once you've assimilated that, it's like, that's it, you've lost all energetics for education, law, history, geography, schooling, economics, politics, really all of it gone. And then you have to start to look at the question that when we talk about things being hidden in plain sight, because this is like Tartaria is the most amazing thing that's been hidden in plain sight. Like it's literally been in plain sight. And then the last bastion on this whole realm is the fact that, in fact, it is us that has been hidden in plain sight. It is us that's been hidden. All of that knowledge, all of that history and understanding, all of that spiritual knowledge, all that gnosis is within us. Like as you speak of going in with the dolphins under the water into the Hall of Records, that is the capacity of every human being to access all knowledge through all, because time doesn't exist. So all knowledge now, accessible now in all ways to us individually. And I think that's where, I mean, seriously, like physically, tangibly where we sit now, not a lofty concept over here, but like it's right here.
Yes. Yeah, I think we have to recognize that we are made up of so many star species. I think there's 22 different star species that we're made up of. And so all the knowledge from all the whole cosmos and all those star species is actually within our genetic coding. And so that's why we're so incredibly important and special, humanity, because we have this combination of DNA genetics that allow us to tap into this incredible wisdom, knowledge, empowerment. And that is why there's been such a push for, our enslavement and to suppress us, because we actually do have this incredible potential that is so people got no idea how much we can actually activate that. All the, what do they say, the junk DNA is like 80% of our information. That all that is the incredible gifts that we have been unable to access. So it's always makes me laugh when they say junk DNA, because sort of thing, another inverted reality, another inverted truth. Yeah.
Actually, we live in junk DNA. We live in a junk DNA realm. Like, it's not what's missing inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Science loves to prove that things don't exist, doesn't it? Everything's black matter. 98% of everything's it just doesn't exist. It's black matter. Junk DNA.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, so part of the Tartarian concept, so just to like give you a parameter of where Tartaria sits with its ideology, is that the earth is flat, that there's no space, that we actually have a firmament over us that is essentially surrounded in water above and below, that stars are not physical bodies, and that our which is really interesting, because as we work through disclosure, obviously all of us have worked through the ET alien. I've always referred to myself as a starseed. I've always had that connection. So from the Tartarian perspective, it would be the vocabularies of those two worlds coming together would be the realm instead of the planet. It would be flat and not round. It would be, instead of say aliens, we would say multidimensional consciousness. And that the idea of space is actually inner space. It's the space that's within us, and the access to these multi-conscious DNA strands and this multidimensional consciousness that is assisting Earth right now, because we're definitely being assisted.
Absolutely.
And I think this is a really interesting conversation, because a lot of the Tartarian and the truthers and the spiritual light workers are still working out the vocabulary around what is this realm and how do these understandings work here within this parameter. So yeah, I think it's a really good conversation to have, because I think a lot of people have. I can see Campbell. Go on, Campbell, get it out. I can see you've got something to say there. Yep,
I've got something to say.
Yeah, good, go, let's talk.
I've got a client actually the other day that said that she was living another life simultaneously, and she was mindful of this other life that she was living on the earth plane at the same time. So it was in Asia, I think, and she described it to me, and so she was fully aware of this other lifetime she's living at the same time she's living the lifetime in which she was talking to me. And that will develop more and more, that simultaneous consciousness where we have this awareness. And I think that's really fascinating, because I think those types of gifts are becoming more and more prominent now with the energies and all the light coming down, and the ascension of Mother Earth and the ascension of humanity.
Excellent. Go on, Campbell.
Can't imagine what that would be like. It's hard enough living one life at the moment.
Because we're all multidimensional now. Like we are pure potential in all directions at all time, future forward. There is many versions of us acting out all simultaneously now. So
on that note, I've got something to say. Can I do a past life reading of you both?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I thought that ties in with what you just said, Kelly. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'll do Kelly first. So I'm just going to tap into your field. Okay, so what I'm seeing is well, you can think of it as a past life or a simultaneous life, but it's a lifetime, as there is no time. The linear concept of time is just a framework that we use for understanding how to exist in this reality, but there is no such thing, really. So the past life I have a view is of it's like an Italian mother with an extended family, and she's like is it called like a nonna or something like that? But she actually loves cooking for all the family. It's a huge family, big extended family. And she's always having these big gatherings of all the family, and she's looking after them all. She's very nurturing. She's very much in a leadership role within that sort of family dynamic, where people come to her for advice, and she tries to support everyone. She's also very interested in food, and they grow, she makes her food from the Italian sort of orchards and food that they grow there initially. The fields are very fertile, and there's a whole range of, the Italian sort of food that they use to cook with. And so she's very much into that, and she sees cooking as a way of nurturing everyone around her as well. And she puts, her love and her energy into it. And she's a little bit bossy, but that's all good because it's perfect for that lifetime of what she's meant to do. But she's very much like a key sort of a key integral sort of foundation for a lot of the other people within that family. They sort of come to her for information and knowledge. So the reason, there's always a reason why I tap into a past life. It's usually something to do with a core learning or something interesting that you can learn from it within this lifetime. So what I'm picking up from that lifetime is that you learned different skills of how to sort of organize and sort of work with a lot of people and to sort of come from that space of nurturing, very maternal sort of energy. And she is very interested in food and developing the food, not only when it's being cooked, but from growing the food to actually cooking it. And so these are the sort of skills you're tapping into too in this lifetime. The leadership, the knowledge. There's also very much an organic energy in that, of being organically connected to Mother Earth and getting a lot of your core motivation and passion and things, because you're passionate about Mother Earth as well, and nature and all that. So but also your social skills and abilities can also, some of that comes from there as well. And so that's that lifetime.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
that's interesting. So I champion regenerative agriculture this lifetime. Like, a big part of my work is to do with healing the heart of our food chain. And we actually founded and run the National Regenerative Agriculture Day. So we are all about removing poison from the planet and the food chain. And it's all about food and getting people back onto high nutritional food. At the same time, I am so overcooking this lifetime. I can't stand it, and I'd rather just ignore the whole thing altogether. But I must have done it to death in the past, so that I go so on. But yeah, I mean, food definitely, as far as my heart with the earth and my connection to the earth and the hardiness of helping others understand how important it is to heal our food chain, because as we poison our food chain, we actually decline, our pineal gland actually shrinks, and then our ability to use our imagination declines, which to me is the biggest tragedy on the planet, and also the biggest trap for the human being, since we're here to be creator gods, and without our capacity to imagine the unknown and make known the unknown, we're not living our true mandate here. So very accurate. Interesting. I can't imagine being an Italian nonna, but I definitely connect to the idea of healing food and really helping a lot of people wake up, because they haven't connected the dots there, especially between the fact that they're championing for getting the glyphosates and the toxins out of the food chain, but at the same time willing to put the jab into their body, made by essentially the same people for the same reason. So that's doing my head in a bit with my regen ad audience, but not here. Here we can all be on the same page. So awesome, man. Cool. Thank you.
No. And what you say about imagination too, I mean, it's again the gift that humanity has been given with this facility to imagine. There are other civilizations where they weren't given that gift, that ability, and so this is another aspect of humanity that's incredibly important. And when we visualize and utilize the imagination, it grows. It's like an ability that gets bigger and bigger, and that's exactly what we're wanting to do now, because it's all about birthing the new earth and the new reality. And so if ever there was a time to tap into that imaginative faculty, and you can do it in so many ways. You can do it with cooking, with painting, with singing, with whatever, but just for people to be able to really continually build that ability is really powerful at the minute.
Yeah, make some shit up, people. Come on. Come on. All right, go. Let's do Cambell. What are you going to pull out?
Okay, I'll just
This is fun.
Okay, so what I've got with Cambell is something quite different. So it's an energy that actually comes off world. It's not an energy of this Earth 3D reality. And as I'm closing my eyes, because I'm just sort of bringing it through as I'm talking as well. And so this is like an energy that is, it's not actually that familiar with Earth, this particular lifetime. Like it's quite a different energy. And so I feel that perhaps potentially within this lifetime you've had some challenges adjusting to the Earth reality and the Earth plane, because it is from this lifetime that I'm reading, it's quite a different energy. Here, you know, obviously it's slow, it's dense. You've come from a more evolved, advanced civilization, and so this energy, you're sort of toning yourself down in order to fit into this reality here that you're existing in. Did you perhaps potentially, when you were young, have some challenges with talking at all when you were little?
Not with language, as far as I know. I had a lot of chest issues. I know I used to get croup a lot. So I don't know if that was like a blockage thing.
Yep, that could be the heart chakra. So again, you know, you're adjusting to a reality where you are in a lesser consciousness that is less heart-based, and so you're having to adjust to that. You know, that could be to do with that in terms of the physical body issue. But you came in with a lot of wisdom and knowledge from these other realms, and then you're wanting to obviously bring that through into this 3D reality. So it is quite a different energy. And does it feel to you that things sort of seem sort of very slow paced here on the earthly realm to get things done? And
yeah, like sluggish. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've had to sort of, as I said, downplay your energetic field in order to be able to function within this realm. So this lifetime is helpful because you can tap into it to get more of your spiritual gifts, to be able to bring them through. And you also have beings from that reality that are, you know, really happy to work with you as well, to be able to help you with whatever you're doing here in this lifetime. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm getting.
Yeah, that's another thing, is the connection thing is much harder down here as well.
The connection.
But yeah, I'd say I used to study Confucianism basically my whole life. So my first thought was literally, what am I doing here? Come back and get me. You've dropped me off at the wrong place.
Yeah, that comes from that lifetime too. So it's like you have had some adjustment challenges, being able to be in this what Kelly was saying is a realm, because of the differences. And so you've also brought quite a unique energy into this realm as well, because you've come from a place that's not as well known, and there's not as many beings that have come from there. So you're bringing in some unique gifts and qualities here as well.
Wow.
Autodidactic.
Interesting. I actually got we both got a reading of Bobby. Bobby, what's Bobby's surname? I'm not sure if you know Bobby Richardson. Yeah, and she said the same thing. She said the exact same thing. This is the first time down here, so yeah, definitely feels like it. That's for sure.
But you know, that's where the gifts are as well. That's also the gifts, Cambell. So, you know, you're bringing things through that a lot of people maybe are not aware of or are not attuned to. And that new vibrational frequency and energy that you're bringing to the planet is really important in the holistic evolution of what we're going through.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would like it makes up a big chunk. I mean, I feel personally that I've been here a fucking long friggin' time. But the readings that I get say a few times, but yeah, I mean, like this whole community of, I guess, you know, let's just say light workers, or organic consciousness, let's say organic consciousness, because it's, you know, it's not as prevalent on this planet as we've been told it is, you know, like we get told there's 7 billion people on this planet, but that's not really accurate. There is a much smaller chunk of organic consciousness, and there's a lot of other things going on around that, whatever you want to call it, AI, clones, illusions, holograms, simulations that basically fill up the background of our day and of our virtual experience here. So we're convinced that this movie's real, you know. But
and like Dolores Cannon talks about background people, doesn't she?
Background people, yeah, that's a good word for it.
Well,
Yeah, so we've got a lot of background people, and a lot of, like, even animals are basically random generated, you know, holograms.
But also I've got a puppy, and I had this wonderful healer friend of mine who tapped into his energy and said he was here to help me with healing clients and people's soul fragments. So, you know, when people go into soul wounding or trauma, fragments of themselves go off into the universe. And so this little beautiful little thing actually helps to heal these soul fragments of people and help unify and heal them.
I agree. Yeah. Look, I think that animals are in the same predicament as humans. There are a section that's organic consciousness that are going through their process of contributing their total conscious soul energy. I mean, hello, our pets are like the biggest counselors on the planet. And we, you know, and we've got so much amazing connection with the beasts of this plane. But then if you look at sort of the background beasts of the plane, like the flocks of birds that randomly get generated, and we've seen a lot of videos now coming out as this matrix starting to collapse, where, you know, people are taking videos and birds have just stopped in the middle of the sky, just frozen in mid-flight, like the computer's glitched. So we've got and that's the same, we've got a lot of background animals, a lot of background people, obviously a massive chunk of background politicians, and, you know, we've got like a lot of these oppressive forces that we see, or we are presented with, are also part of that background noise, and not essentially, you know, organic consciousness. So it would be very fascinating to go in and strip, and to look at this plane stripped of all the stimulation, and just see how, I mean, what's your guess? Like, we're always told 144,000 twin flames, 144,000 light workers. That number goes on and on and on and on. But like, how many do you think is actually here? What is the true population of the realm? What are your thoughts?
I think it's probably less than we think.
Definitely.
I think it's probably smaller than we would have an awareness of. And yeah, I can think of an instance in a positive where that sort of holographic thing happens, but it supports your own evolution. I remember when I went through a shift where I actually put up some really firm boundaries with some people that weren't honoring me, you know, within my field. And so it was hard to do, because these were, you know, members of people that were close to me for many years. But I put up a really strong boundary energetically, and I also told them. And then that I went for a walk, and then these huge, enormous flock of cockatoos went overhead and just did circles around my head, this huge flock. And it was like a confirmation or a celebration that I'd made a really good sort of step forward in my own progress, you know, my own soul growth. And so that's a positive example of this holographic field where the energy comes in and supports you in a really nice way.
Yeah, because you are the creator, so you're generating that stimulation around you.
Yes, absolutely. And I love the connection with animals and birds and everything in nature, because it's just a beautiful dance actually between us and them, and they will support us at every turn if we're given the opportunity.
Definitely. Yeah, well, I think it's all perspective, with the birds, it's like, if you love birds and that, then that's probably what you'll see. If you love something else, and you might see something else as that, because it's all just energy when we get down to it, I guess. But it's
Yes.
interesting when you look at all the old artwork, back from, sort of 1700s and before, with the animals in it all the time. You see people hanging out with lions, with tigers, with all these animals, and they're just hanging out, eating fruit,
Yeah.
chilling. So it looks like there was a different connection back then.
That reminds me of Anastasia, and I know you guys love her, but I actually energetically work with her. I call her in and ask her to come and work with me when I do sessions, and she has a healing ray that she works with as well, which is amazing, and I asked to work with that. And she's incredibly great for your imagination and creatively inspiring. So sometimes when I paint, I call her in. I've got paintings behind me, and she comes in and helps me. And I called her in for one of my paintings, and I thought, oh my God, where did that come from? And I'm sure it was her that painted the picture through my hand. But she has that connection too with animals. She sleeps with the wolves, and she sleeps with the bears, and there's absolutely no fear. There's just a beautiful flow of connection between them. And I often, I actually yearn for that, because I remember on some level having that already and now having lost it.
Same.
There's a real sadness. I could even cry now thinking about it.
Same. Do you know that my dreams are made up of, honestly, every 3 nights I'll have a dream where I'm talking to an animal. Like, I am constantly talking to animals in my sleep all the time. It's just so common. I wake up going, I just hugged a giant platypus. I just spoke to all the time. And my mind is full of hugging and speaking to animals.
I love that. I really love that. I've got that connection too with animals. And, when I need support or something, a giant owl will come and fly down and be around me, because it's there to support me, because my spirit bird is an owl. And so that's happened many times, really crucial occasions. And really, when I've been vulnerable and feeling at my lowest, they've come in and given me that energetic support. So I'm the same as you. And I tell you what, you're probably getting way more wisdom downloaded through them than you would by talking to a person.
Oh man, I remember one where I had like towers of dolphins appear to me, like high as you can see, like 20 dolphins wide, like all over the ocean. It was insane. So if we take the animal concept through the Tartarian information, which is interesting, because as Cambell said, a big part of the Tartarian work is to go back through these old books, and predominantly the artwork in these old books are just insane. They're so past anything we produce today. It's the visual, and it's all these sort of mythical characters, beasts and birds and monsters and gods and things from the skies and flying machines, and it's crazy stuff, way past what our timeline would tell us they had the ability to even imagine back then. We've been given this linear concept that in the past they were less intelligent and less evolved than the current now, but in actual, and therefore their capacity to imagine and dream these sorts of things, like flying ships and things coming down from the heavens, and so many signs of huge mouths of beasts where man's just falling to his death through these huge so it's really crazy stuff. And actually thinking now, okay, well, the animals like us, there are some here that are got organic consciousness, going through life experience, adding to this realm and this moment in time their light and love and energy. And there is some that are, background animals, but we have had them as a dominant part of our Tartarian history, and with the trees. So the trees and the animals, fundamental. And then you look at the myth around Noah's Ark and all the mythology there, and it was all about protecting the DNA of animals. Only one bloodline of family, but they were connected. They were really keeping that DNA of animals. And a lot of the concepts of the last great reset that we went through was around 350, was because whoever they were breeding man with beast and man with bird and man with bug and creating all these genetically modified versions of God's creation. And that was like the last reset. So what are your thoughts, Cambell, like on where animals sit with this sort of, you know, unfolding?
Yeah, I mean, the cryptoids, we've got the books of it all, and we hear about that in the Bible, of course, the fallen angels, and they sin against, you know, beasts and fish and bird and all this, which is genetic manipulation, because it also says that man is born with sin, right? So I think that sin actually means genetically manipulated.
Yep, same.
And yeah, so with the animals, I mean, they've just, you know, whatever, the parasite, it's trying to create its own creation, right? It's got no connection. It wants to be God of its own, you know, bad quality, low pixel creation.
Yeah, B-grade movie,
and that's what it's trying
movie.
to do. Yeah, B-grade movie.
I think all the animals too, and the birds, each unique one has brought us specific gifts and skills that the other ones don't have. So when you bring them all together, there's this whole amalgamation of incredible sort of like wholeness of what everything is, of all that is coming through them as well. And they're wanting to, and they want to disrupt that, you know, and sort of impact on that and lessen the beauty and the impact of that.
Well, it's just like, as in interbreeding, as you know, a concept weakens genetic lines, doesn't it? So, you know, once they start, you know, genetically messing with creatures and animals, they're taking away their essence.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because, you know, if you go back to the tribal world, they've all got animal totems, right? That they've all got their spirit animals.
Yeah.
So and that's what they always attack, isn't it? It's just the spirit, the connection. That's all they attack, is they just want us to believe that we're just like them, that we're not connected to spirit, because they're not, right? They're jealous. They're like, no, you're like us, and we're like you. See, look, we're creators. See, look at our stupid creation of crap buildings and pollution. Yay.
Well, the essence is a
so
really
it's just
strong
a
word.
Sorry.
Like that they try to take the essence away. Like that is a really strong word. You know, like if we look at, like, you know, the Dark Crystal, that movie and that TV series, that was all about draining the essence out of the organic consciousness of the plane. And like, I mean, by messing with our relationship with animals. So this is interesting. I want to ask you about this, Medyhne, because I have had always a conflict around this. So eating animals has always provided me with a conflict, like always, my whole life. I've never been able to settle with it. Like, I'm not a vegetarian, but I've spent most of half of my life being a vegetarian as I agonize around the spiritual understanding of it. I can't comprehend, you know, that these beautiful, I know, very soulful and very conscious creatures are meant to be our food. At the same time, I acknowledge that our bodies now like work best on that food group, that there's great ways of producing that food, as in regenerative, organic, lovingly and kindly, and then there's terrible ways. But it's been a debate. But my point is, and I think a lot of us have that same debate, the point is that our connection with the animal kingdom, going through our spiritual traditions, our tribal traditions, and our historical understandings, come down to the fact that when we are in relationship with animal, our hearts explode. Our hearts are, they explode out. They burst. Like when you're like being kissed by an animal, you can't help it. Everything about you tingles, and you're like, you're wiring and firing with love. When you're loving your pet, if you ever got the amazing gift to sit with a lion and to sit in companion and relationship with a lion, right? You would just, your whole being would be overwhelmed in this gushing joy of. So close relationships with us and animals brings out the absolute best of our hearts. So of course they've absolutely attacked and destroyed and given us this false program around the idea that animals are going to attack you, animals are going to hurt you, you have to keep away from animals, they're dangerous, they're deadly, they're in the wild, they're wild animals, they hunt, we have to hunt them, we've got to kill them, stay with and you can have a dog and a cat. They're sort of like, here's your dog and a cat, but everything else is out of bounds, be in fear. Like, what fuckers? Because our relationship with animals is just like heart explosion. Hello, Joshua always was seen sitting with the animal kingdom, the entire animal kingdom around him, all the artwork.
Absolutely. So I totally agree with you. There's nothing else like a connection with animals to open your heart chakra. And and that is exactly why it's been suppressed. And also that feeling of man is superior to animals, so we can think less of them. That's the same program but in a different way. But I think to really sort of nurture and develop your connection with animals, even if you can't do it in the physical, to visualize, in meditations, connecting with animals, and might be a different animal each time, or a different bird, that they are wonderful ways to build connection. And then the physical environment will respond to you. I mean, I've had dolphins swimming around me lately, and really obviously connecting with me, right where I live, and swimming up to my house, basically. And I know that's something that we need to really nurture to develop the wholeness of who we are, and their knowledge and their wisdom that they can give us, and the love that they have, the pure love. And and when you talk about being a vegetarian, it is true that sometimes people need that iron and things. And I think that the animals are going to, provide that for us if we treat them with love and respect. They're happy to provide that for us if we need that. And that's how incredibly beautiful and giving and generous of nature that they are, that they're willing to do that for us if we need that. And so it's all about how we relate to them. I just think that they're just so special, and to be really, mindfully, consciously kind in all our thoughts and all our interactions with all animals and all species, even I don't like mosquitoes, but everything else.
Do you know that mosquitoes, get this right, most people don't know this, I'm going to tell you something amazing about mosquitoes. This is gold, right? This is the best gold of the whole show. So mosquitoes, everyone can't stand mosquitoes. Why are they here? What are they here for? They just irritate. Right? When I found this out, I was like, get fucked. So mosquitoes are the one insect that has a beak on them, the only beak that is able to pollinate the cacao tree. So mosquitoes are responsible for chocolate.
Oh, really?
Get fucked. Can you believe? There you go, Tartarian Hunters. That is a freaking illusion breaker, program buster for you. So mosquitoes are the ones that have the beak. They're little like suckers that drive us crazy, pollinate the cacao tree, which gives us cacao, which gives us cocoa, which gives us chocolate. Hello. So that is what mosquitoes do in the regenerative world.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to say that they irritate. Their purpose is to irritate so that we can meet that irritation and we transmute it.
Well, that's a very esoteric version of mosquitoes, but no, I'm just like, would you choose to have no mosquitoes and no chocolate, or mosquitoes and chocolate? Basically is the choice you're being given. I just think that's a classic Tartarian paradox there.
And isn't that that's so interesting, the dualistic world that we live in, that sort of paradox is, because it's the two extremes, isn't it?
It's perfect paradox. Yeah, well, Bobby said a really good thing about the vegetarian question, and I keep asking it because I want everyone's thoughts on it. Is that the animals provide a service to us, and in that way they are able to continue to take rebirth and evolve their spirit and soul as well. So there is a co-partnership relationship there. But fucking hell, guys, if you're going to eat meat, like, you know, we are here as the leading edge thinkers on this plane, the leading edge consciousness, and what we do with our food habits influences the future of the eating chain here on the planet. So if you are going to bother to eat meat, like, do it the most beautiful way you can. You buy your meat from farmers markets and community gardens. You get it from regen farmers and organic producers. You do not buy it from Coles or Woolworths. You do not buy it from the supermarket. You pay that extra couple of bucks, because what it means is that your meat has had a beautiful life. They've been given the quality environment to be in, and they've been like killed humanely and with no pain. So it is so important that Tartarian hunters understand that not only does the nutrition in your food impact the way you're able to consciously think about things, problem solve, and imagine, but also how your body is coping with all this stress right now as we go through this ascension event. But also you're setting precedents for your future generations of how we are going to manage our food chain on this planet. And right now it is fucked up, guys. It is so royally fucked up. It causes so much stress and torture and torment to our beautiful beasts of this plane, and it is our job here to actually stand beside them, as we chose yesterday to stand beside our elders. It is no different to me. If I was standing next to either you or Cambell or a lion or a great kangaroo, it would be the same energetic signature to me. You know, we are not separate to the organic consciousness that runs through our animals. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the day where we speak to each other again, because that is going to be the greatest game changer on planet Earth. If we think it is happening, and if we think we've got an issue assimilating and dealing with the human trafficking and the darkness of what disclosure means, I tell you what, when you stand in front of an animal and it speaks to you, you're going to feel the shame of hundreds and hundreds of years of our treatment. Like, there will be nothing that breaks your heart more than having communication with our animal kingdom right now. The innocence there. Whew.
And the fear, the fear that they hold if they're killed in a way that's not ethical, and then that goes into your field, and again that it goes. It's like a cycle that goes round and round the earth again. So you want to break that cycle, because realistically there's love and there's fear. You can't be in both at once. So we're really collectively wanting to transmute all that fear from the planet, so that we can move on to our next level, fifth dimensional ascended realm. So if you're keeping to regurgitating all that fear all the time, that's the last thing that we're going to do.
Absolutely.
Especially fast food as well. They have the massive factory abattoirs, and what they do is they build them on ley lines and nodal points to create bad energy. And I'd also mention milk. If you saw the state of the cows they get milk from mass dairies, you wouldn't touch that stuff. Like, it's just full of, I don't know, fear and agony, It's,
and they steal the babies.
I won't go into it.
They need the babies to get the milking cow. It's just, it is so traumatic.
Why do you think they're still giving milk?
Yeah. It's
disgraceful.
It's all consciousness, isn't it? So we're going through an evolution in consciousness now, and it's desperately needed in order to shift us as quickly as possible.
We're starting to see
different ways of being, so that we can see the error of our ways, and that we can see that all those things in the past are not in alignment for how we want to go forward. And that's why everything that's happening now is such a gift, because it is pushing us at the greatest warp speed into a different paradigm.
I mean, and like the other thing from like this nefarious programming that we've been under is that everyone, the cities are so great, come to the cities, everyone live in the cities are so exciting, it's where all the energy is, where all the convenience is, and like and it's wrong. This programming that we've undertaken over the last few hundred years is so wrong. Like, humans need to be on the land. Humans need to be in connection with nature. I am a farmer. Humans need to be on the land. Why do we need to be on the land? Because we need to have our feet, our souls touching the earth. We need
Anastasia talks all about that.
Exactly. I love Anastasia for this. We need to have relationship. You don't, like, when I say I'm a farmer, I'm about to move back onto the land after having a 6-9 months sojourn here in Melbourne as Tartaria is cracked open, but and everything's been going on here in Melbourne. It's been good timing, but man, like when I move back there, I will surround my land with animals. And it's not because I want to farm them for food. It's because I want relationship with them. I want to be immersed in their energy field. I'll be surrounded by trees and nature and the sun and the seasons, and all of the things in my environment will be alive and real and of God's creation. Like, it is so easy to get rid of the TVs and the computers and step out of this grid and out of this sort of like chaotic, fast-paced, no time energetic that we're stuck in here in the cities. And guys, we got to get back onto the land. Like, we are here to bring Gaia home. Like, we are here to bring Gaia home to light and love. We need to live in her protective shield. We need to be on her, not here on cement, on asphalt, on more cement, on more asphalt, down and down it goes, no nature in sight.
In Russia, you know, I think that's in some ways why they're doing well in the midst of all this whole pandemic narrative, because they have all these plots of vegetable plots in their homes, and they have very much a self-sufficient way of working in their gardens, and millions and millions of people in Russia are doing this. And, you know, Anastasia had a big role in that as well, because millions and millions of people have read her books, and that's what she encourages people to do. That's everything that you're talking about. And so in some ways they're doing much better in this whole evolutionary process in terms of where they are, because they've got that connection, and because they've already put in place a lot of these practices so that they can have those integral connections with Mother Earth. And so here, I think in Australia, we've got such a beautiful environment, such a beautiful landscape. It's such a gift to be able to make these connections. And we've been really pushed as a Western culture and as a society to do everything opposite to that. So pushed to stay at home in our houses, and you know, interact with technology, and cut ourselves off. So we all need to start in Australia reconnecting to all the amazing resources that we have here. And you know, the whole lockdown business and everything again prevents you from making those connections. So I think when you see something happening like that, you do the opposite and you invert it. And so, I think I've heard you both talking about communities, the importance of building new communities. And I've also been personally looking into communities as well, because I think for myself individually, but also as a collective, we do need to do that and align with like-minded souls, and then have all the different abilities and bring them all together so that we can have a field of great you know, talents and gifts, and we can all help one another and support one another. And I think that's definitely the way that we have to go. And I've heard so many people talking about that lately. So it's very much in the consciousness that this is the way forward, to have these communities and to be able to, you know, people just buying big plots of land and saying, I'm going to start a community. I've heard a lot of people doing that. So that's exciting. And that's, I think, something that we need to focus on.
Definitely, and I don't think, you know, a few people are a bit apprehensive, but it's like you said, when you get people together and everyone's putting their input in, and you've got imagination and working together, things happen so fast. And you know, we know that that's what they stop us doing, right? They don't, you know, at school you're not allowed to ask questions, right? Or else you're wrong. You're not allowed to put your own ideas in. You're not allowed to be creative unless it's art or music. You know, you're only certain creative, you know, you're allowed to have. So yeah, once we get out and we break that, you know, this box open, it's going to go fast. You know, it's going to be exciting. You know, we've already got all the answers. We've already got them. We just need to get out there and implement them. You know,
Exactly. exactly.
So yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, that proactive, energetic thing where you actually take action. You don't just perhaps sit and think about it, but you actually take steps to make it happen. And so if you've got a vision or something that you're wanting to create, write down the steps that it will take to get you to that point. You don't have to do it all in one go. You don't have to get the outcome straight away, but you can do the steps and work, diligently towards that. And then there's a great soul joy in that. There's a real upliftment of spirit, because you know that you're heading forward on your soul direction and your soul mission.
Yeah.
And there's I think if we can all just tap into that as well. I mean, that as we know, the dark forces are wanting to suppress any form of joy or upliftment of spirit or high frequency energies that will allow us to really all make this happen. What's that?
Yeah. So I, on the level of manifesting and doing what you want, this is how I do it. So I create like books of pictures from the internet full of the types of buildings that I want to live in and grow and build. And they're all earth buildings. They're all like community spaces. And I just fill out books like this. So I'm actually just withdrawing stuff from the internet, making pictures, putting them into, and then printing them at Officeworks. And it's like how I manifest. And to me, guys, like, we're in a situation in Australia where we've been basically, especially now, told that it's too expensive to move on the land, that land's like millions of dollars, like who the fuck makes this up? That like our nation has been carved into these crazy little shapes, that are worth like $1 million, $2.8 million, like basically making it virtually impossible for the majority of people, especially in our community, who, have been on the fringe of society for most of their lives, like, working this stuff out and not focusing so much on a career, or, buying into like, let's like go hard and make lots of money. So, a lot of us have been in a situation where we don't know how to afford it. But I'm telling you guys, like, our whole idea of money and being able to afford it and wealth and how we achieve that wealth is part of the Tartarian fucked upness of the programming. Like, we don't need to have a job to acquire the wealth we need to get land. Like, if you want land, all you have to do is focus on the land. Don't worry about how. Ramtha always used to say to us, if you're, whatever you're focused on, making sure it's not money. Don't focus on the money, because that's you focusing on the how, and it cuts out 99% of the pure potential of how this could come about. Like, money is only one tiny minute way, and we've been brought up in a culture where it's like you must sacrifice your whole life to acquiring money and money alone in order to achieve anything you want to create. But in actual fact, money is just one tiny, drop in the ocean of pure potential creative possibilities. If you want land, if you want to move into community and you want to move into land, then all you do is dream about that. Dream about the land, about the community. Get scrapbooks and fill it with pictures and talk about it and own that idea. And JCK would say, and then step into your future and talk only about it from your future forward perspective, which is actually the real now. And tell everyone about how beautiful your land is. Speak in past tense about it. Yes. Like, do not get caught up in the fact that you don't have money and money is the only way you can achieve this bullshit, because it is part of the programming and lie.
Totally. This is my manifestation, this sort of energy.
There we go.
Yeah, this is instead of a book, I paint it with colors, and it's like a beautiful vibrant colors, flowers everywhere, butterflies, that sort of, it's more of an energy, I guess, to the picture. So that's how I create and manifest. And I've got to tell you, I've got a picture. Can I share it with you?
Yeah.
This is let me just share this. See that picture there?
Yeah.
I manifested this. So this, I was living in actually Melbourne, and just outside of Melbourne, Victoria actually, and I was envisaging living on the water in this beautiful place, which was right on the beach. And I'm thinking, how am I going to do that? I haven't got the funds to do that. I don't see how that could happen. But anyway, I kept envisaging it really, really clearly. And it took, I think, about a year roughly. But I moved up here to northern New South Wales, and I manifested a house, a rental house on the beach with its own private beach. This is the view from my balcony. And the dolphins were swimming up last night right up here. This is to this view, and this was something that I never thought I could manifest. The gardens are all Hawaiian landscaped, and we're surrounded by 3 beaches, and it is completely stunning. So, you know, I never thought that I'd be able to do that, and that was pure manifestation.
Magic.
Yeah.
You look like you're in Tweed Heads.
Ah.
That's where I grew up. I grew up in Tweed Heads.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. It's so beautiful. I mean, all the waterways, and it truly is stunning, especially coming from sort of a fairly dry landscape around, you know, regional Victoria. So, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, that's such an excellent story, because it's so important. We really have to bring this home to our audience, that do not focus on the how. Do not focus on the how of manifestation, because you'll only focus on money, because that's part of the programming. That is the entire programming. That is the enslavement. That is the original intention of money. The seed intention of money was to enslave. They took the slaves and they traded their freedom for a thing that they could then purchase things with. It was always intended to enslave you, but at its deepest black magic, it has intended to enslave your manifestation. It is intended to enslave your pure creative force. We should be, and our future now will be that we can manifest instantly. That is our absolute potential. Absolutely, right? So right now, we're just in this sluggish process within our brains of figuring out that if we can get our brains out of the how, because the how is connected with the fear and the stress and the limitation and the fact that you cannot do it. And actually, like, no, it doesn't matter how long it takes you. If this takes you 6 months of hard slog, good news is that as the timelines are speeding up and we're in the quickening, and Tartaria has deprogrammed all of you, and your brain is really empty right now, like quite literally, if you want to move onto the land and you focus on it for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, you'll probably be there so quick. It'll blow you away if you just get rid of the fucking how. It is a program. It's a program. It's a program. Cambell, I think we need to do a whole show on the fact that the how of money is a program. It's a program. It's a program. It's a program.
And also, it's in your head, you know, that sort of lower frequency stuff is to do with money. Whereas when you go into your heart, it's a higher frequency. So when you're coming from that heart love space, it's because money is just energy, isn't it? So if you raise your frequency and raise your energy to attract higher frequency things, then you can manifest much quicker as well. And also the other thing is we think that we can manifest with smaller things often, because we think there's a difference between small things and big things. I remember one year when I was going, I left a very unhappy marriage, and it was coming up to Christmas time, so I was feeling a little bit miserable, and I really wanted a Christmas tree. I didn't even have a Christmas tree, and I'm driving along and I'm thinking, please give me a Christmas tree. I need a Christmas tree. And there was a garage sale just on the side, and I stopped off, and there was the most perfect little crystal tree that actually was a fiber optic one, and it lit up with all different colors and everything, and it was exactly what I would have, you know, wanted for Christmas. So you know, we can do it with smaller things, but then when we think, oh, I can manifest a huge community, that's too big for us, and we perceive a difference, but everything is the same. There's no difference in what you're manifesting. So I think that's another stumbling block that we have with manifestation.
Yeah, it's ourselves. We stop ourselves doing everything, really, don't we?
Yeah.
By believing the lie, believing the script.
Yes. I was talking to a lovely young fellow who he's doing year 12 and absolutely has had to be at home a lot of it because he doesn't want to, you know, get this, and has been really not doing anything of work, but he's wanting to create films. And he's just feels so flat and sort of, in a sense, I guess, demoralized when he thinks about school, because it's so opposite to everything that is representing who he is, everything, his essence, a great word, essence is, which is this creative force that wants to go and do these amazing things. And so I can't wait to see a world where these young people are able to just tap straight into their gifts and bring them straight into the world, and not seeing any sort of obstacles or any impediments saying, I can't do this, or there's reasons why they can't do that. And then again, I keep coming back to it, but it's so great. In one of the Anastasia books, the young people, they had a school where they actually just the kids came and they built the school themselves.
Yeah, they did.
And that was their practical creative thing. And you know what? None of those kids wanted a holiday. None of those kids wanted to stop going to school. They were keen as mustard, and it was so opposite to everything that we see with school today. You know, they didn't want to have a day off because they were so motivated and inspired and creatively, you know, doing these things that they just wanted to go every day and do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, my God, like, nice. You know, school, what the fuck is school's a major programming? But like, if you look at the Ring of Cedar of Rushes, which is the Anastasia book we keep referring to, everyone who hasn't read it, Ring of Cedar of Rushes, 9 books, amazing, read them. Like, if you look at that, those kids were taught their schooling via practical applications. So, you know, I don't know if you guys remember being in maths class, and like, we all, basically the whole community, the whole of Tartaria Australia was told they were dyslexic. All of us were told at some point we had some sort of dyslexia. And basically we were taught the gibber gap, like maths is gibberish when you go to school. Like, it is ridiculous. Like, you have a sister with 10 brothers and 2 of them have brown hair and 1 has 9 eggs, and you're going down a path and you pass 5 cherry trees and how many chickens? You know, like, they're so dumb. Whereas if you like go, you know, when I put myself on the farm for the first time, and I knew nothing, like, I actually had to learn how to build. And when I learned how to build, I actually understood maths for the first time. I actually understood how fundamentally maths could be used, like how you actually build a box, like what that looks like, how you get that so those right angles work, and how you use maths to actually build yourself a house. And
well, that's the only way some people learn, is by actually doing it.
It should be the only way. It should be the only way, because we should be taught how to learn how to build our home, and in doing that, understand the mathematics behind it. But of course, our education system is stripped of all that. We get taught, I don't even know if we get taught about money ever at school, but we never get taught how to use and save and allocate our funds so our that side of us is in order. Like, that was I'm talking about money being bullshit, but if we look at our culture right now, you know, just me this year I'm 44 years old, decided, thanks to like an amazing like little crew around me, we're like, break your bank system up into, you know, 12 different accounts and put $20 into each one every single week that you get paid, so that you've got all the things you need sorted and constantly in a state of order. Whereas we normally just get paid, we have one account and all that money just sits there in that one account, and we don't even know what's going on, and we just spend our food money, our grocery money, our rent, our blah, blah, blah. No, there's no structure around it. That one shift in me, like of having a food card, a rent card, a dentist card, a health card, a disclosure card, you know, a farm card, whatever it was for me that's relevant, changed my whole life with my finances. But 44 years, and I had to do a course. Like, we should be taught that when we're 10 years old, getting pocket money.
Oh, they're not wanting to empower us like that. No.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to give away the rules, how to crack the system.
Yeah.
I mean, put $20 away every time you get money when you're a young person, like, and that's your structure. By the time you're our age, you won't have to ever worry about financial situations ever again. Now, maybe this is old 3D information now, because we're about to move into a point where that enslavement is fucked off completely.
So agent.
But it's never too late to start new systems in your life. And you know, we're in this state right now where all of us are having to deal with a lot of quick, decisions. We are all having to deal with changing our life in some direction. A lot of us, almost all of us, will make a move at some point now or soon to move onto the land. All of us at some point are going to make a move to be around like-minded people, to be in communities. If you haven't had the jab, you're being ousted from the cities anyway. You can't access any of these services. You actually want to be around your people. You want to be in those spaces. We are all going to be in a perpetual state of changing a lot of things in our lives right now. And, you know, like, so don't feel limited that you've not started any of this, like, and you're, you know, you're 44 years old like me, and, you know, we're stuck in all our habits and ways. Like, we are in a state of flux right now, Tartarian hunters, in all ways.
Yes. Well, what's age anyway? It's just a number. It doesn't mean anything else. All age is completely different to that anyway. But don't attach to all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I
Very
always
good point.
like 22, whatever. I don't care what people say.
Very true. What is fuck is age? We didn't even know. We don't know how old we are.
Exactly.
We didn't even know what date it is. Time doesn't even exist.
That's right. So the other thing I was going to say to everything that you're chatting about, there was that concept of being a Renaissance person, you know, where you're actually really good at a lot of different things simultaneously. And you know, I write books, I paint, I make music, I write it, I do healing things. So I'm trying to tap into different range of things that are for me fulfilling and satisfying, but it's not a one-dimensional thing, because it makes life so much more interesting, and it's also actually really good for survival when you can do a lot of things. And I think that concept of being a Renaissance person is a fantastic one. I really like that one. Yep. So bring that back, I reckon.
Well, that was true in the Tartarian realm, wasn't it, Cambell? Like that Renaissance multidimensional beauty was, you know, just exuded out of the Tartarian realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Now that, of course, they've tried to, you know, demean that as well. It's no longer a Renaissance man. He's just a jack of all trades. You know, it's like now it's looked on as he's not actually qualified as anything. You know, where this person, he's a mechanic. He knows he's qualified in one thing, but he's just a jack of all trades. Where the jack of all trades is the smarter person. He understands all the connections and interworkings and everything. So and he can survive much better than the mechanic.
And you see that,
and this is the thing,
left school early too often. You know,
and they train us up so that it's hard to go live on the land, because if you're just a mechanic and that's the only way you make money, well, you've got to go live where there's cars, right?
Yes.
But you know, if you can build and grow food and do everything, then it's a different story.
And you know, now it's all the supply chains are breaking down, so you won't be able to build cars in the same way, because you won't be able to access the parts to build them. So therefore, you, in even more ways, you need to have a range of abilities and skills that you can offer the world in order to be able to go forward in this new energy.
And that's what's exciting. There's all these new, I don't want to say jobs or careers, but all these new skills are going to be needed. You know, we're going to have all these things. So that's how people can you know, how we can change, you know, build the new earth. How we can create more value and give it out is to work out what needs to be done. We know what doesn't work, and let's figure out what's going to work going forward. Are we going to need to be creating our own engine parts, you know, to keep cars running, our own fuel, our own energy, our own everything, right?
A lot of those things haven't actually presented, I think, yet. You know, some of the areas that we'll be going into, because we haven't got into that energy yet. So, and young people think, oh, I don't know what I want to do or whatever. Well, it doesn't matter, because the new energy that you go into is going to present a demand for whatever, and then there'll be new ways of dealing with it that we just have no concept of now.
Absolutely. And like, we've got this situation now where, I mean, we're so versed in like this stuff behind us. I mean, like, you know, like there's so much beautiful artwork in the Tartarian consciousness. It's still busting to come out, where people are starting to like us introduce the visual imaginations of what we're like talking about. And it's one thing with our work with Cambell and I, we really actually like to get the artwork engaged with this. And you know, there's so many things now. We're still looking at a big, huge, I mean, I don't know how many people even know about Tartaria, maybe like, you know, 1% of all of us at the moment, but, you know, eventually that's going to explode out. And as that does, like those new solutions, those new genius ideas, those new imaginings are going to like burst through to respond to this void that we now find ourselves in. Like, what next? Because we are all energetically asking the question, what next, universe? What next? What next? What is next? How do we do this? How do we all live on the land? How do we all move into intentional communities? How do we build a intentional community? What is an intentional community? How do we do it with sovereign law? How do we grow food again? And we're all asking these questions. So as we ask these questions, the energy has to bend to our desires. And as it bends to our desires, amazing new solutions are going to like be presented to us. And, you know, for the majority of the people listening to this, like we will form leadership in that structure. We will form leadership in this new earth paradigm because our consciousness is already demanding it.
And
we're
you know
already
what?
demanding it.
The leadership will be based on soul standing, which is your the integrity of your soul and the energetic signature of your soul presence, as opposed to someone who's self-serving and just wants there to be there for power and corruption and whatever, you know. So I think that's a really great distinction that's going to happen in the future, where that will be based on your soul signature.
Yeah, service to others. Service to others versus service to self. Well, we are all service to others. There's no doubt about that. That's the Tartarian transformational consciousness. It is in service to truth, in service to others.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, it's amazing when you start stepping fully into service to others, how the universe comes together to fully support in so many ways. You know, I noticed that when I do a soul healing group for Australia on Tuesday nights, and it's just like a free Zoom thing, but oh, it's so beautiful. You know, I've had one lady there offer me free Reiki, distant Reiki, because of what I'm doing. Another one's offered to do the admin for the group, so that she can support that. And, you know, just it all comes together so beautifully when you start stepping into that service to others way of doing things. And it's not about, you take the money out of it and you say, what would I do if money wasn't a thing and it just didn't exist? What would I do anyway? How could I bring my gifts and my skills into the world? How can I serve? How can I meet a demand that's out there for what's needed in a way that's going to be, you know, really constructive and productive? And then you meet that need with your gifts. And then this amazing expansion happens where all this stuff comes together. It's really beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that definitely involves creativity and art. You know, so many artists and creative, you know, people, they make all this amazing stuff and they just think, oh, well, you know, no one would ever buy it. I could never sell it. There's no money in it, or they just do it as a hobby because they think, well, it could never, you know, really support me. But, you know, I think we're definitely going back into, you know, the time where, you know, beauty just for beauty's sake is going to be valuable and appreciated again.
Oh, won't that be fantastic? I can't wait for that. So beautiful. I mean, being an artist with music, you know, writing music and singing and performing and recording, you know, I've done that for years. And, you know, we bought all our equipment and, you know, we got a bit of an overseas recording publishing deal and things like that. We had in a B grade movie, we had a song, but we put so much money into buying all the equipment and putting the songs together. And there was, and you know, you get nothing for music. People don't really pay for it anymore, or they just download it anyway. But, you know, the joy that comes with that. But to you know, thinking of the older days where they had the what were they called, the benefactors, you know, that would support them to bring this creative content into the world, you know, something like that. What's that name? There's a special name for the rich people that would you know, support, you know, Beethoven and Mozart and allow them to spend time writing their concertos and everything. So you know, I just can't wait to see that, Cambell. That will be just a magnificent moment where we can tap into all these beautiful, creative things that we love to do, whether someone loves crocheting or, it doesn't matter what it is. It's still their way of expressing their soul to the world. And there's a joy that comes through with that as they're doing that. And then that has the energetic footprint of that with the whatever they've brought through.
So let me ask you, sorry, Cambell, go on.
I was going to say that's the other thing that you give is the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask to wrap up this awesome conversation today. Like obviously that Cambell and I have been on a hunt for a crystal city in the Australian desert. Yes. And I would love to know your thoughts on that, what you've picked up on that. We've been looking at an ethereal idea that as the veils have been falling apart and have the matrix and the programming, that potentially there is some extraordinary crystalline cities. We're using the word crystals, but that's just sort of like a generic metaphoric name for the idea of there being cities in our country, in our continent, that we haven't been able to see before, and potentially they are going to become known to us.
Well, I think that Australia is such a beautiful land that we definitely would have crystalline cities here. And I visualize them as like a pearlescent aquamarine type, those beautiful shimmering crystals that have all the sort of metallic rainbow colors in them. That's how I visualize them. And I think, you look at somewhere like Pine Gap, which is one of the greatest facilities for the deep sea, that base sort of in the center, in the heart of Australia. And there is always a dualistic polarity thing happening where the opposite is also in that space as well, because that's how the earth plane has been. So that crystalline city energy would be there around there as well. And of course we have Ayers Rock there as well. So that would be there. And then they've got that to counteract that energy in that same space. So that's the way I look at it, because we've very much been based, they've been based on this dualistic, polarizing sort of way of working with the earth, the dark ones have. So yes, I see it there, and people can tap into it through envisioning it and visualizations, and then the more that we do that, the more it will come into the absolute sort of right in front of us, into the physical realm, so that we can connect with it in that way.
Amazing. I love that. It definitely feels, we absolutely agree that there's a polarization going on, and an equal opposite that has to reflect the nefarious evil of that Pine Gap area, that we've been told that the desert is completely void of life, that it's completely empty, yet it's made up of red sand, which is indicative of usually what is massive civilizations are built from in the Tartarian understanding. And we've been really told this story that Australia is dead and void, and so if that's what they're saying, we have to acknowledge that most likely it's absolutely the entire opposite of that.
Definitely. And it's interesting too that with Indigo Angel, Amanda, she talks about how there was some nuclear sort of incident in the heart of Australia, which created that desert as well. And interestingly too, I saw a talk by a lady called who used to channel and was very well known. She was Mary Claire Prophet, or her name was Prophet. She was literally a prophet, and her name was Mary Claire Prophet, also I can't remember her name, but anyway, she talked as well that she had a really strong vision brought to her by the angels that there was also a nuclear incident, around the center of Australia. And
I haven't heard this. This.
Yes. I'll send you the link. It's very interesting, and you can put it under the. But she also said that one of the reasons why Australian people were so sort of. They're sort of stuck, and energetically there's a trauma there, and she said the trauma came actually from that nuclear explosion that happened in the heart of Australia. And so there's a deep-seated cellular trauma that we're all holding as a consequence of that, as a soul memory.
That makes so much sense.
And then this is why you see unfolding at the moment all this sort of difficult, sort of excruciating, unfolding of all the dark, nefarious plans that are coming out in Australia and everything. Because also to do with this, because it's part of the soul memory and the cellular memory of this land and the people. And you compare it to, for example, I don't know, Mexico, where it's such a different experience right now on the earth plane, and that sort of explains it. And the other thing that I would say to that is that we also can give ourselves a pat on the back for manifesting here in Australia at this time, because there's a certain level of spiritual mastery or soul mastery in order to be here and to be chosen to be here in order to transmute all this dark stuff that has been here in this particular region. So I think that if we honor ourselves for that as well and say, well, I'm a soul that's chosen to be in this country at this time because I'm supposed to transmute this and I have the ability to do that,
Fucking love that. We have to cut that and put it at the front of this podcast, Cambell. Like, oh my God, I actually want to talk to you way more about this. I've got Bobby coming in right now to join us for a little bit of an end catch up. But like, okay, so the concept that there was a nuclear explosion here in Australia, it makes total sense because everything's been annihilated and turned into sand. The sand is red, which means it was a red civilization. And we've got collective trauma, and we've got one of the most nefarious undergrounds in the entire world right in the middle of it. So obviously only the surface of this civilization was destroyed by a nuclear bomb, and underneath is still apparently completely wired and fired.
And then they went underground. Yeah.
Live underground. Yep. And so we've got this situation now where there is, and I would say from Pine Gap, we have got so much negative energy that's being dense, being broadcasted on the population consistently. And we've got, of course, the massive trauma to our Indigenous. And of course, now we've got the massive trauma to our sovereign law keepers. And right this week, that's being replayed. So, I mean, Australia's desert is contentious fucking, it is so, it is such a rabbit hole that has not been thoroughly explored.
True. Absolutely. And I think it's really helpful for people in Australia to know this, because they're thinking, why is all this happening? There's always a reason. It's not just an accident that we're having one of the most challenging birthing processes here. And, I think when you're aware of that, it starts to make more sense, and it helps you actually deal with it as well, I think.
Wow. Well, good morning, Tartaria hunters, because this was the end of our podcast, which is now at the beginning. So I'm going to say good morning to you and welcome to a really fascinating conversation with Medyhne here today. And you're going to have such a good ride with this one. But exploring the idea that there's been a nuclear bomb let off in Australia is something I think we're going to can keep going with now and actually really get engaged in this conversation. But I'm going to say we need to conclude this podcast now, because we've got some people joining us right now to join Medyhne in another conversation. So you have been amazing, my friend, and thank you so much for joining us. What an absolute pleasure. Your energy is so light and so beautiful to interact with and have these sorts of conversations with.
Oh, it's been so beautiful chatting with you both as well, and just really want to honour you for the work that you're doing. And I love chatting with you anytime. I could talk for hours, but yeah,
definitely get you back. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, guys. Well, you have a lovely weekend, and we will speak to you again next week. Go hard, Tartarian hunters. Stand strong, stand firm. You're amazing, magnificent, smart, intelligent community. And we are so honored that we can call you our friends and our family. So go and enjoy your week, and don't you dare give up, because this is an illusion and a movie, and you are the main actor in all of this.
Well said.
Yeah, we got this. And thank you everyone for all your support to Cindy. That was amazing. And as you know, the campaign for Cindy was stopped by GoFundMe. So we have found another platform, and we're just setting it up, and it should be launched in the next couple of days. So yes, Pat yourself on the back. Have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you all next week on Tartaria Australia.
Bye.